Letter from Nadezhda Telekonikova. And take heed to yourself, lest at any time your heart be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares. Luke 21:34. The people that I have had the chance to work with during my actionist years were quite unusual for Moscow. They were not interested in money or comfort. They did not go to the Jean-Jacques Cafe. When they wanted to go to a cafe, they would choose one there where they could be in active discussion, planning actions without having to order anything. When they wanted to eat, they would break a loaf of bread. They preferred not to spend time and consciousness, which was ready to include and transform everything around them, on the daily grind and the strife for creature comfort. Their hearts were not heavy from either overeating or drunkenness. Their minds were fully occupied with whatever they were currently working on. They worked a lot, with fervor and enthusiasm. Even their knowledge of the fact that they might have to pay for their activities with prison did not stop them. In general, they were busy with either self-education or training or acting out of virtue. Because philosophers should not merely describe the world, but change it. Happiness is to live by virtue. I am happy, even here, sometimes. If you're patient, in your patience possess ye your soul, Luke 21:19. I find it difficult to bear being apart from those who make up my life, but I'm being patient. I'm learning how to socialize with those by whom I'm currently surrounded. The people around me have sought to attain a comfort in life. For all of them, their status in life was important, but now we are equal to one another in terms of comfort. Most of them cannot understand how one can engage in political art without being paid for it. I don't understand 80% of what you're saying, said a young girl booked for narcotics under Article 228 of the RF Criminal Code. When I tried to explain to her why I participated in meetings and took part in political actions, you've been brainwashed. Who's paying for all of this? Surely you have smart men who are organizing all of this, is what I constantly hear from those booked for narcotics. Article 228. Whereas for those who are in for fraud under Article 159 do, in part, understand me. As they sympathize with Khodorkovsky, Kozlov, and Romanova. But they are also convinced that we are part of a larger methodology scheme that involves smart men and significant financial funding. But I actively engage with my fellow cellmates. I explain to them that the meaning and motive of my activities, and some of them in the investigation, Detention and Isolation Center number 6, have already come to believe that the Pussy Riot activity emerged through the powers, energy, willpower, and aspiration of a handful of politically active young people. Jesus Christ was accused of blasphemy. If Article 213 had existed 2,000 years ago, Christ would have been charged under it. He called upon our asceticism and selfless devotion, but the czars of the world, not wishing to do without their limousines and flashing lights, have judged him. But beware of men, for they will deliver you over to the courts, Christ warned, Matthew 10:17. Beware, but go and prophesy to them. Without a penny in return, cursed and lied to, walk the earth and prophesy both to the Jews and to the Hellenes. 2,000 years later, Pussy Riot, with its much more modest challenges, we do not seek to establish a church. We merely suggested scrutinizing some aspects of the earthly representative of the Christian church. Entered the cathedral of Christ the Savior and were thrown behind bars, delivered over to the court. We are not messiahs, but who knows? Maybe Pussy Riot is a sign of the new times in the spiritual history of mankind. The century of liberty as prophesied by Russian religious philosophers. All of the past Sunday I took notes on the Apostles' Epistles. I was interested in the issue of the succession of law and grace relative to the old and new letters. It was on this contrast that Merezhovsky, Berdayev, and S. Bulgakov established their teachings concerning the future emergence of a new milestone crowning history, the era of liberty. which should arrive after the ethic of Christ's love, righteousness, and faith as proclaimed by the Old Testament. Who knows? Perhaps the inclusion of human rights and liberties as priorities in the politics of the West in the 20th century is also another sign of the approach of the era of liberty and creativity, as well as the Pussy Riot concert. Riot taught that creativity is the structural moment of the age of liberty. Love will transform itself into liberty, and with it, the world will change. It is already in motion. Nadia Tolokonnikova.